Hey there, YouTube family. This is Josh with Stocks with Josh, and today we are beginning our small account challenge, but we're going to break it up into a couple videos to start because I got so much feedback from all of you that you were downloading your MooMoo accounts, you funded it with $100, and you had a lot of questions. So today I'm going to cover three subjects, okay? We're going to cover our book of disciplines, right? Why we're taking the time to do that. We're going to talk about the 3 trade setups that we're going to use on every single trade. And I'm going to do a trade setup for you at the end. Now, this is not going to be the first trade for our small account challenge, but I'm going to jump into the charts and I'm going to give you a trade that I see active right now. And we're going to show you how you would translate that into this type of a challenge, even though this isn't going to be the one that we're going to do. So, hey, before we begin, please hit that like, subscribe, and the notification bell. And I love how many people are watching the video, but I'm only getting 10% of you who like it. Now, hey, if you liked the other video and you want to do this challenge with me and you're finding this content useful, then hey, please like the video. And if you haven't subscribed, then go ahead and subscribe. Okay, so let's begin. Our book of disciplines, right? And you know, I've been trading for more years than I want to admit because it makes me sound old. And you know, and I've had some incredible days in the market. I remember how thrilling it was. I think years ago I owned 1,000 shares of Apple, and it ran up from 104 to 126, I recall. And within minutes, I had made thousands of dollars. It was such a weird feeling at the time. I felt like I did something wrong. I was sitting at home in my living room and it felt like I had robbed a bank somehow, that I didn't even deserve this, you know, money that had, you know, over 20 grand that had popped into my lap. And, you know, so now why do I share that story, right? Because in other days, I had trades that dropped $5,000 a day, 5, 10, 15. And, you know, that was all of the trading that I've done has been an education. It has been an expensive journey at times and a profitable journey that's kept me motivated and excited to get up and keep doing it. But now, along the way, I developed what was called a book of disciplines. These were lessons learned, as well as a means of holding myself accountable on what I was accomplishing from trade to trade, week to week, or month to month. In the comments section on my last video, I had a young man tell me that he had started off with $125,000 a year ago and only had $25,000 today. And he was just sick. He said he couldn't sleep at night. And I understand that pain, and I understand that feeling. And what I don't want him to do is to walk away from the market, right? It would just be such an expensive loss. There is an opportunity there, right? An opportunity to learn and to take note of what's been done. I'm going to show you my book of discipline, so let's jump into it and let's see what you guys could possibly learn. All right, so I break my book of discipline down to 3 categories, and I don't put anything else in the notebook. The very first page is basically a history of my trades. I'm going to start with the obvious stuff. What day did I enter the trade? What is the stock I'm buying? What price did I get? Now, the entry price could end up being a lot of different prices, and I do have to then write down my average price over time, okay? And so sometimes I use an entire page or half a page to do a trade, all right? And the discipline of making a stop loss on every single trade is one of the biggest things that I'm going to focus on, because remember, it's a small account challenge, 100 to 200, but the main thing I'm trying to do, I don't know which way the market's going to go. I'm going to give you a setup. I'm going to explain why I chose this setup, but the most important thing that you can see is how I go about trading it, charting it, researching it, and making the decision to put my money at risk, okay? And that's what I want you guys to do on your own. So then we have, obviously, the take profit, right? And this is where a lot of you guys have also, you know, I have a close friend who I walked through a very big trade last year, and he actually was up at one point $100,000 on one trade and simultaneously up 40,000 on another. Now, if he were here, he would tell the story that, and I advised him to take profit on the larger trade of $100,000. I told him break it up into two orders. One would have profited him 50,000, and I said, now tomorrow, put in the order for it was actually 64.50 was the price, and I said put in an order for this for 62.50 tomorrow. I believe that it's going to get up to about there. And he did put the order in, but he didn't select good till canceled. Okay, so it only was good that day, and it sure enough in the morning it ramped up to the price I told him it would ramp to, and then it began to drop. It began to drop like a knife, as they say. And at that point, he was like, oh, well, Josh, maybe it'll come back up. And it never did. That stock just dropped till he had to cash out of that position. So, this is why we have the Book of Disciplines, is we need to identify for each and every trade what our potential take profit is. And I intend to show you how I do that on every trade setup. And then we have our gains and our losses. This is where we need to be held accountable. Maybe we're not sharing this with other people, but we at least need to know for ourselves, are we making money here from day to day? Can we learn something from the last thing that we did? Which takes us to the next section of the Book of Disciplines. And that's our lessons learned. If you, on each and every trade that you've taken the time to keep track of, you have the opportunity to write down what did you learn. Okay, I threw a couple in here just to give you the idea of it, but never trade large position with no stop loss. Okay, and so the last part of your Book of Discipline is going to be in the back of the book. So the way that I do this is I put the history of trades and the lessons learned in the front, and then I put in the back of the book my aha moments, my genius scribbles, my inspirational thoughts, the things that I've learned from other people. I give myself more freedom just to write things down, and I've found so much value going back and looking those things over. All right, so hey, you guys, again, I want to take a minute and show you where to find the link, because a lot of you were actually still looking for that. I'm going to just quickly jump you over to my YouTube. One second, guys, I'm sorry. We're not going to stop this video, though. Okay, so on my YouTube page, where you see my banner, you go to videos and you click on any video name, and you will see that beneath it is a link to MooMoo. I also want to quickly point out again, because people are wanting to make sure they understand. In the community tab is right there underneath my name. This is where all of the trades that I'm going to give you guys are going to be posted, as well as a couple surveys. All right, so let's go back. Let me get you into slideshow view. And we're going to keep moving along. Okay, so we actually want to look at exactly what type of trades that we're going to do. And we're going to do 3 types of trades. And a lot of you are brand new to MooMoo, and so you need a little bit of an overview of what those trades are like. One trade is our trade of entry. One trade is our protection trade, which is our stop loss. And the third trade is our take profit. Now, a lot of you didn't even know that you could put a trade in for a take profit scenario. And so I'm going to break those down for you in MooMoo, where you go to find them, and we're going to briefly touch them, because we're going to do this again. When I actually give you guys the trades on my next video, I'm going to actually plug my phone in and go do a screen share, and I'm going to buy those items and create that stop loss and that take profit live in that video, so you guys can see it again. But this time we're just going to go through a quick slideshow on it. Okay, so your very first screen when you get into MooMoo is going to basically ask you which account. Everybody's given 2 accounts, a Hong Kong account and a US account. So you're obviously going to select the US account. You see that little American flag. All right, there's just a couple areas here. You're going to put the name of the stock where it says symbol. You're going to choose what type of order you want, right? It's defaulted to limit. okay? But if you want to get the other types of orders that we're going to do, you're going to have to click on this right facing arrow, and you'll get a screen that slides in from the right, and it'll show you the different types of limit orders or trailing stop orders, and you can select it and you can choose that one. Now, in your price, there's a really easy function here, a target. This little target, if you click it, it'll populate your price with the current market price. And then you can hit the minus or the plus key if you want to adjust that price up or down, you know, pennies or dollars. You're going to need to put the quantity in, but there's also a little kind of a way of doing that easy. When you see this gauge, if you click on this gauge, it'll give you a drop down and it'll show you all of the money that you have, and you can select full, 1/2, 1/3, or quarter, and then you can take a position that way. It'll automatically populate the amount, and then you're going to hit buy. All right, so here's an example of that screen I just mentioned. This is still the limit order. And you see right here, when you select this little gauge, you have this option here on the far right, which is actually, it says 1/4, okay? If you select that by touching this number right here, it will fill that in right here. That'll give you your quantity. It'll also fill in your amount. And that's how you do the buy order. It's pretty simple. Okay, we're going to show you. Now, back here where you had the option of selecting the type of order and the arrow that goes to the right, that's how you get this screen that slides over and shows you all the different types of orders that you can do, right? And we're going to basically do the limit order for each and every one of our setups. We're going to do the trailing stop limit for all of our setups, and we're going to do the market if touched for all of our setups. So I'm going to quickly go through those with you guys, okay? Now, if you select one and it populates, so right here is order type, and I selected trailing stop limit, there is a really cool feature. It's like a little question mark in a circle. It's super small. If you click it, it'll again give you a little educational screen which will describe the order. Now, it gives you a couple options at the bottom, right? So in this case, I selected a trailing stop limit, and I have the option of a ratio or an amount. We're going to set fixed amounts. So let's say I tell you guys that our stop loss is $1, right? You're going to select amount, not ratio. Ratio would be a percentage of loss. So we could do that, but we probably won't. I'm going to give you guys hard stop losses, but we could say that our risk on the trade is going to be no more than a negative 10%. And if we wanted to take that position, then we would choose ratio. Then we either select our buy or our sell, and it gives us an overview of what we're actually doing. So I'm going to show you guys the trailing stop setup just briefly. I have trailing stop chosen here. I have the amount, okay, that I'm going to choose. Remember, I'm going to give you guys that information in the community tab. I'm going to tell you on this stock, we're going to have a hard stop loss at, let's say, $1 figuratively. That's where you put the amount, okay? And then that'll then show you what it'll minus this. It'll show you what the final price would be if it's sold at that price, okay? And again, we have this little gauge down here, right? Now we might average in and out of the position in percentages, but we may choose to make 2 orders that are trailing stop setups. Okay, so we might have to execute this trade, we might have 6 orders placed in. But this is going to be really important for you guys to see how I scale in and scale out of a position. I'm not going to cover this much more here. I'll go through a couple more slides because we're going to do it again. I just wanted you guys to see the screens so you could begin to explore them and get a little bit of understanding. I need feedback from you guys to know how hard this is for you or how comfortable you are with this. Okay, so I want to touch briefly on what a market if touched order is. This is the order for making the profit, okay? So what this basically means is that if the stock goes up to where I think it'll go, so let's say we buy in at 50 cents, we have a stop loss at 40 cents. But I think this is going to go to $1, okay? The market if touched, okay, a lot of times, and we saw this with my AMC prediction. I told everybody that when we were at 29 that we were likely going to see a flash up to 34 and then a flash back down. I know so many of you told me that you were holding and you didn't get to take advantage of that massive move up. Well, this is where a market if touched order would have saved you. So what it is if the price runs up to $1, okay, then the order is created at $1. So if it touches $1, it'll generate a market order and it'll go through. Now, if it turns right around and it drops down to, let's say, 96 cents, it'll still sell your position as long as it touched that $1. So this is really a phenomenal feature that we're gonna cover, and you guys are gonna see the benefit of it. Okay. Same thing, market if touched. It just gives you the trigger price. That's where you put the price that I give you. So I say if this is going up to $1 here, then you put that price right here, and that's what will generate the order. And again, we might scale out of it. We might sell 1/4 of our position at $1. We might say that we're going to sell another 1/4 of a position at $1.25. And we can do multiple orders to scale in or scale out. All right. Hey, I'm going to quickly just go over with you guys again. I'm going to ask you that if you would please hit that like button. I'd like this video to really just, I'm putting in a lot of time for you guys, and I just want to see that positive feedback from you, okay? And if you haven't deposited the $100 into your account, go ahead and do that. I'm going to give you guys these trades, but it's okay. The stock, as I'm watching it, has not come down to touch our buy price anyways. If we started this even today, all of these limit orders would just be sitting there patiently waiting for the market to bring our first buy order down where it needs to be. All right. Okay, let's see. I want to now give you guys a quick 2-minute technicals on AMC. So I promised you guys a hot stock, and so let's dive into that, okay? Okay, so yeah, I've already kind of marked this up from some earlier investigating. I'm gonna quickly clean it up here real quick. Okay, so AMC. The last time I talked with you guys about this, it was basically this run up here. Okay, and I identified to everybody that that we were going to do a run up. If we closed above $20, we'd run up to 30. And at that point, I've been watching it ever since. I haven't gotten back into it, but I really want to show you guys. But I want you guys to see how I compare this previous run-up to this run-up that we're currently in, right? And I'm using the Gaussian channel, right? I want to take a quick look at that with you guys, okay? So what I want you guys to see is that we're going to, we're trading in this channel here, okay? Now, the bottom of this channel is like $15.50 to $16. And, we've had a lot of pressure on the stock market and it's not come down, but I'm going to tell you that we are going to move sideways and we're going to dip and touch that and possibly even break it, right? That gives us our price entry. I won't go into this trade until I touch the bottom of the channel. And you can see the bottom of the channel is around 1577. Okay, now the top of this channel, right, produces us a potential take profit. That's around $22 to $23. I'm just kind of show you a little bit of how I interpret these charts. Now, if we go back in time, we see, forgive me with all this drawing on here, but we're going to have to make do in the video because I'm not shooting this again. So we see that when we broke out initially, it came down and bounced on the channel. I want you guys to identify that. And eventually it came in and tested the moving average. The outer, inner, and the lower outer are all moving average indicators. right? So we moved along that, we tested it again, we bounced out above it, and then we really took off. Now, it was at this point that a lot of people were telling you when it was at $80, hey, we're going to 125, right? But I want to try to encourage you guys or teach you what I know is that when prices break out of the channel, they want to move back in and they want to move to the average. And that's exactly what AMC did. So when it was way out here in the stratosphere, you know, it wanted to come home, right? So it came back, it hit that moving average, got a little pump to the top of the channel. And then as soon as it got into the channel, it was range bound, guys. It stayed in there. So it came down to the bottom, it went back up to the top, it came back to the bottom, it did a little bit of middle action, touched the bottom again, came back up to the top. And so that's what I'm trying to identify to you guys here. And I'm doing this as quickly as I can, right? We're in the channel. We broke up through it. Right? We've come back into it. If we had bounced off the middle line, then I might have thought we had more to the upside. We didn't. We broke below it. So now it's my calculation that we're going to touch the bottom. I'm telling you that bottom is around 1583. Okay. So I'm going to take you guys back into our overview, and we're going to wrap this up here in a minute. Okay, so here's how I would treat that. In my my book of disciplines, in my trade history, I would do my little bit of homework and I would estimate that my entry is around $16. Okay, I'm going to calculate a potential of loss. I saw a lot of support in this, about 6.5%, down, right? So I'm going to put in a stop loss at 14.96 to limit my downside risk in case the market goes to crap, forgive me. And I've identified a potential market if touched take profit of $22. Now, I could choose to scale in and I could choose to scale out of this, which means that I could buy from 16 down to 14 and lower my stop loss to 12. And I could take profits by the order types I'm going to show you, market if touched, from 22 all the way up to 23. But I just wanted to give you guys a little bit of an example. This is a live trade. You know, if you wanted to take it, that's how I would take it. But I wanted to give you an example of the type of trade setups that I'm going to give you, a little bit of an example of how I look at the charts and interpret it. This is all about teaching you. It's all about you guys learning your disciplines and having successful trades. So that wraps it up. I really appreciate you guys bringing me along on your financial journey. And again, hit that like if you haven't hit it so far. And I look forward to seeing all of you guys in the next video.